I like to compare the process of acquiring a language to growing a tree. Learning a language is a long, oftentimes challenging, but always exciting and hopefully rewarding experience, and everyone involved in a language learner's academic or social life should assume the role of a caring and patient gardener. The idea of growing a tree clearly conveys a message that it takes time and requires proper care. We should start with the soil, the background with which our language learners come to us. While I believe that every student is sooner or later capable of producing beautiful results, in some cases we have to fertilize the soil a little more. For example, if a child has had no formal education, no experience learning English or another language in a structured and organized manner, perhaps the soil is dry and might be deprived of some nutrients. It's harder for us to make academic connections to these students' background knowledge and to build on that layer, but it is possible. Sure, every child has had experiences to which we can relate and build bridges from towards our content. In this case, we ought to dig deeper to find what is there for us to work with. And sometimes just the fact that teachers are aware of these needs and accept them lovingly starts restoring the delicate emotional balance that has been damaged by transitioning into a new culture, the balance that is necessary for establishing healthy roots and growth. This is why it is crucial to create predictable language and classroom routines from day one and to allow your students to take baby steps. Another way to strengthen the soil is by cultivating confidence in your students, by communicating to them and all stakeholders that what might look like a tiny seed right now will soon germinate, sprout, and start growing. When you start caring for this language acquisition tree, remember that one of its sides will be naturally getting more sun. That side is BICS, Basic Interpersonal Communication Skills. And the other side is CALP, Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency. Both terms were introduced by Professor James Cummings. What's important to us is that typically conversational fluency is acquired easier because of the repetitive nature of the vocabulary and structures of the everyday conversations, and because of the topics being contextualized and less cognitively demanding. The academic language is usually more abstract, context-reduced, and specialized. It takes more effort for a language learner to acquire and more strategic planning for an educator to teach. However, we can expose the cognitive academic language proficiency CALP side of the language tree to the sun more and remove as many sun-blocking obstacles as possible. One way to do so is to be intentional about adding more academic language to everyday conversations in your classroom. For example, you can label objects around your classroom with the vocabulary you are currently focusing on in your content and refer to them using descriptive language and definitions. For instance, extra pencils are in the rectangular shaped basket that you can find in the east corner of the room. Or, let's go hydrate ourselves by getting some H2O from one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century. Of course, I don't encourage anyone to use this kind of language 100% of the time, but rather am reminding you to think of those opportunities to embed academic vocabulary and content in a variety of contexts. This ultimately helps make it less intimidating and more accessible for our language learners. Another strategy is involving students in fun and meaningful vocabulary activities using cooperative grouping techniques following Kagan's model. Also, for your quick lesson warm-ups or exit tickets, you can utilize Because But So writing exercises from the Writing Revolution book, and be sure to include key vocabulary and concepts from your content, be it math, social studies, arts, business, or chemistry. Another way to facilitate more of academic speaking is to use weekly or daily Flipgrid video assignments. They could be as easy as asking students to read out loud parts of your text, asking them to retell what they have learned in your class today, making sure that their summaries contain key vocabulary of the lesson. As you can see, helping this language tree grow requires a well-rounded approach and attention from everybody. So it's not just one side or one branch that gets the pruning and training, and so that it's not just a specific time of the day or one class where a language learner gets to receive language instruction. I hope you find my language acquisition tree helpful.